All right, good evening folks, it's Enforcer Matt and welcome back to another short war video, and today we have very big news that an attack on Moldova has occurred by a Russian suicide drone. And we aren't sure exactly if this was an intentional attack or maybe it was another accident that Russia has caused by their incompetence, but nonetheless, a village in Moldova has been hit by another drone, and obviously this is very big news. So let's go ahead and jump right into our first post of the day, which is from Visegrad24. And it says here that Moldova confirms that a Russian suicide drone struck southern Moldova yesterday, and we're just learning about it today. And it says that Russian missiles and drones have struck Poland and Moldova several times since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. And that last line is certainly true. This is not the first time a drone has struck the surrounding territories to Ukraine, including Moldova and also Romania as well. I can't remember actually how many times this has happened before, but certainly not the first time. And here we see in the photo that there is certainly wreckage of an Iranian Shahed drone right here in southern Moldova, which is certainly not good. If it's an accident or it's intentional, this is nonetheless an attack. And however the Russians try to frame it, it doesn't change the fact that one of their weapons has crossed over into territory which they're not at war at, and they're currently attacking right there. So not good whatsoever. And I'll be interested to see if this time we're going to see a response from either NATO or Moldova itself to respond to this attack. I have a feeling it's going to be more strongly worded statements and diplomatic responses instead of actual threats or military action. And I'm going to withhold my judgment as to what they should do for the moment. I'm going to wait and see how this plays out and then make a judgment call then. But moving into our next piece of news here, this is actually a map showing where the attack occurred in Moldova. And as you can see, here's obviously Ukraine, and Ukraine extends all the way down here and borders Romania and also Moldova. And right here where the red arrow is where the attack occurred. And I'm going to zoom in here so that way you can see exactly where it happened. And as you'll notice, here's the port of Renai in Ukraine, and here's the port of Izmail. And both of those locations are very popular spots for Russia to attack with these drones, and they've been attacked for many, many times. And as we know, as Russia attacks these ports, sometimes the drones will intentionally or unintentionally go into Romania. It'll hit a field or maybe even close to a village, and it'll sort of go unanswered. This time, it is hit inside of Romania, and it's actually hit right around here in the village of Utulia, which is around this spot right here. I don't have an exact spot where it actually happened, but it is around this spot in this general vicinity, which is obviously right on the border. So it's definitely not out of the question that it was an accident since it's so close to Ukraine's territory right here. But nonetheless, we can't really make any concrete conclusions as of yet because we haven't heard from the Russian side, nor have we heard an official statement from Ukraine either, because they might have been tracking the drone and they might have some information as to where or what happened. But nonetheless, with that being said, we're moving on to our next post here, which is from the Euromaidan Press. And this is a very interesting post indeed, because in this video, which we'll watch in just a moment, it shows Ukraine's air defense downing a Shahed kamikaze drone using a new type of air defense system. And it doesn't really say in the video what this defense system is, so we're kind of left to speculation here. But this video is from the Odessa region, which was released by the naval forces of the Ukrainian armed forces. And real quick, let's take a look. So as we can see here, there is a kamikaze drone on the Russian side, and there's appears to be a laser target on it, being watched from the screen here. And in just a moment, we'll see a missile or some type of projectile come. And it should be coming right. There it is.
Давай, родной, давай!
Hit the drone and so, a very unique system actually. And this is actually from L3 Harris, which is a defense contractor, and they make a specific system called the Vampire. And I have a strong feeling this is the weapon that we saw being used in the video. This is a modular system that can be installed in most vehicles with a cargo bed. And as you can see here in the photo, this appears to be a small mid-sized pickup, most likely a Toyota Tacoma, or maybe the other model. I can't remember. I think maybe a Tundra. I think it's more of a Tacoma though. But in the pickup bed here, we can see that there is some kind of unit right here for tracking, and there's also a missile unit as well. And it's capable of launching advanced precision kill weapon systems or other laser-guided munitions. So this appears to be what was being used in the video, but we're not entirely sure if it was. But if you'll notice right down here, there's actually a button on the screen that says L3 Harris receives a vampire contract for Ukrainian security defense efforts. And if you click on it, you'll see that Ukraine was actually provided several of these weapon systems in the past, and it appears that this is one of the use case scenarios which it is being used for in the present day. So if it is this system, it's good to see it being used to take down those kamikaze drones, and it's certainly being put to good use. And with that out of the way, we're going to move on to our next story, which is from Nexta on Twitter. And it says, Zelensky demands Syrskyi avoid quote-unquote stagnation on the battlefield. And also it says Ukraine's political leadership is pressuring Syrskyi to come up with a new plan to avoid stagnation on the battlefield while avoiding too many new mobilizations, as a new mobilization bill is still being considered in Parliament. So we'd actually noted the other day when we were looking at Syrskyi's background and also his future plans for the armed forces of Ukraine that he notably left out any frontline battlefield plans, and we had wondered if maybe that was for OPSEC reasons or maybe he simply didn't have a plan decided on just yet. But in this post, we see that Zelensky is starting to get a little bit more demanding to get an answer as to what his plan on the battlefield is actually going to be. So notably in this post here, it says that he wants to avoid as many new mobilizations as possible. So that is going to present a bit of a new challenge here, because if Zelensky doesn't want to mobilize any new troops, that's going to kind of constrain Syrskyi to a certain aspect. And while I do understand it's not a good thing to have to do more mobilizations, it may be needed. So I'll be very interested to see if the mobilization plan here that Zelensky is proposing actually works out the way that he hopes it will. But nonetheless, Syrskyi is being put under the gun to avoid quote-unquote stagnation, which in Zelensky's mind is unacceptable at the moment, and probably a pretty good reason why Zaluzhny was ousted, because Zelensky was not happy with that performance. But nonetheless, we're moving on to our next post here, which is from Null Reports on Twitter. And in this post, we can see that Estonia will continue to build a line of defense on the border with Russia, despite Putin's statements about the lack of intentions to attack NATO countries. And it says, quote unquote, "We will not change our plans just because Putin gave an interview," says Defense Minister Hanno Pevkur. And this is also very interesting as well. And it comes at a time where we just saw the news come out today about maybe an accidental or intentional attack on Moldovan territory by Russia. And Estonia is not taking Putin's word that he doesn't have any intentions to move on beyond Ukraine. And they're going to go ahead and sort of take a precautionary approach by building a line of defense with their border with Russia, which to me seems like a very smart thing to do, because Putin is a liar. He's been proven to be a liar multiple times now. He is completely untrustworthy and just simply says propaganda as he feels fit. But anyways, moving on to our next post here, we have one from the Kyiv Independent, and we see that Russia has recruited 15,000 Nepalis to fight in Ukraine. And to put this in contrast, we see the Nepali government actually claiming that only about 200 of its citizens are fighting in Ukraine on the Russian side, with at least 13 having been killed in action and 4 captured as prisoners of war. So right here, we're seeing something not good at all. We see Russia not only recruiting their own citizens to fight in Ukraine, but now they're going out and recruiting other countries' civilians to fight as well. And I just saw a post earlier this morning of Ukrainians capturing a fighter, or a mercenary, more like, really more of a proper term to say mercenary, from Sierra Leone. So they're obviously not from Russia, and we have them going around and recruiting people from all over the world to try to get into this fight against Ukraine. So we now see Russia going out and getting other people involved in their unjust war, which is not good. And with that, we have one last piece of news to cover for the day, which is from Null Reports. And this is very good news indeed. We see here that the U.S. Senate has just passed the procedural vote to advance $95 billion foreign aid for Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan, which overcame a filibuster. But the final passage could still be days away. This bill is taking a long time to get through the Senate. I must say, it's taking a good minute. And on this channel, we don't get into the politics of the situation, but there are obviously some things that play in the background. Some people are putting their personal motivations ahead of Ukraine aid. Hopefully, I'm going to leave it at this. Hopefully the bill can get passed sooner than later. But with that being said, that is our last piece of news for the day. So I hope you found this video informative. Like I said yesterday, we're getting back in the swing of doing these short war videos. So if you find it informative, press that subscribe button and also hit the like button as well. It greatly helps out the channel. And once again, if you find the video helpful, you can also subscribe to our Patreon page. The link is in the description below, and you can support us that way as well. But nonetheless, we'll see you all on our stream tonight. It is fundraiser night, of course, to raise more money for Ukrainian charity. And with that, bye-bye for now.